This is a Hope 1032 podcast.
Hello, welcome to Undistracted. I'm your host, Laura Bennett, and this is the podcast where we learn from our guests how to be better at building our lives with intention around our passions, our purpose, and deal with some of the stuff that can get in the way of that. You can rate this podcast wherever you're listening, review it, share it with a friend as well, and find video versions of lots of these chats on the Hope 1032 YouTube channel. Today we're joined by Ronan Soussa, one of the much-loved cast members from Love on the Spectrum. Ronan is not only known for his warmth and humour on the show, but also for his advocacy as an ambassador for the Autism Community Network. In this conversation, Ronan opens up about life with autism, what inclusion really looks like, and how important it is to create spaces where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. He also shares his journey of falling in love with Katie on the show, the friendships that shaped him at school, and some of the passions that keep him inspired every day. Let's welcome Ronan to the show.
Hello, Laura. I have to say, it is truly such an honor to be here to have a chat with you on this incredible podcast. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm so excited.
As we begin this conversation, can you clarify for us, what is autism spectrum disorder?
So autism spectrum disorder is like representing sunflower lanyards for disabilities so that people are well aware, and basically like for disabilities, like in general, wearing sunflower lanyards when people are in the community is so helpful. And also another good thing is I always like to inspire others like to do the same and be a positive role model for people with autism and disabilities. So I always like to be my authentic self, and I hope it inspires others to give things a try and to live their best lives ever.
It's a really good way to approach it because, Ronan, your example, I think, really has encouraged so many other people. Over the course of your life to now, how has autism, I suppose, presented in your life?
So I want society to realize that people with disabilities deserve to be seen, heard, and valued because they have so much to offer if given the chance. Because I always like to say, different isn't less, different is necessary.
What are the sorts of things about being different that you really admire?
I can really admire to like spreading happiness and using the power of positivity, because I always like to focus on my strengths and all the things that I can do and not the things that I can't. And like, I really want people with autism to think of the same reason just like I do, because that way it makes them feel proud by what they can do. Because speaking of which, I think the biggest misconception is that people assume that having a disability means we are incapable of doing things. But obviously that's not true, because we can do many things if we are given the opportunity, understanding, and of course, support.
Are there ways that society could be more accommodating to people with autism?
I think people think that all disabilities are visible, but many disabilities are invisible or hidden. For example, at first glance, people may not realize that I have autism. So many times it would mean I would have to explain to people that I have autism whenever I'm feeling stressed, confused, or overwhelmed, so that they are understanding and they are more alert. And that is why I wear my sunflower lanyard.
Yeah, something that helps us understand what's happening for that person, perhaps be a little bit more aware. I've heard in the past that people can sometimes try to mask their autism. Is that true? Do people try to sort of cover up aspects of their disability so that perhaps other people aren't judging them for it?
So what I can say is that I really want to encourage people to not let their disability define them or stop them from doing the things that they truly love so much, because my message to people with disabilities is to just be yourself, do what makes you very happy.
Good advice right there. And 4 years ago, you did something that made you very happy. You went on Love on the Spectrum. Why did you want to go on the show?
Well, I have to say, Laura, going on Love on the Spectrum was such an amazing experience for me, because I just decided to go on it because I had never been on a date before. So I thought, why not give it a try, and hopefully I might meet someone special. And as it turned out, Laura, I did.
Yeah, Katie, very
I did meet
special.
someone special.
What was it
Yeah.
about Katie that you loved?
So Katie is like so caring, lovable, and such a nice person to be a nice person to me, because I was feeling like so warm and appreciated inside me, because basically what I realized was it is so powerful to connect with someone special, and that's how I felt when I first met Katie. Because although I was a little bit intimidated at being on camera first, it didn't take too long once I met Katie. And I discovered something really important from Jodie Rogers, the dating coach. She taught me so much about important communication in a relationship, and that love doesn't have to look one way. It can be however you want it to be. But you know something, Laura? I really do hope that by being on the show and just being myself might have helped the public to have a better understanding of autism, and to show that autistic people want and deserve love just like anyone else.
Having never gone on a date before and then having your first date on TV, what were your expectations about what that was going to be like? What had you imagined a date was going to be like?
Well, to be honest, like when I was going on my first date, like I didn't want to make myself too nervous, because I really just wanted to like keep the conversations going with Katie and pretend that no one else was around. So I just kept on speaking to Katie, and like eventually we like felt so comfortable with each other. Like we felt really warm inside ourselves, because we started to build on our relationships the more times we saw each other. The more times we saw each other, I began to feel a lot more comfortable than ever.
I feel like you could teach us a thing or two about effective communication in relationships, from what you've learned, from what you've been able to, I suppose, apply with Katie. What were some of the things that the show taught you about falling in love and how to communicate well with people?
So what I can say is that I'm like Jodie Rogers told me to take things slowly, one step at a time. And another good thing was that I learned from Love on the Spectrum was giving consent. Consent was like such an important keyword to me, and it was like giving permission to someone, saying, I hope you don't mind if blah blah blah. And when I gave Katie consent to what I wanted to do, like she didn't mind at all. She was like, she was pretty comfortable, I have to say. And also throughout the communications that me and Katie were having, like we were sharing similar interests. Like for instance, Katie and I both like to dance and sing some songs, and also Katie likes music just like I do, and we were sharing like a lot of common interest, which was like so special to me.
Has going on Love on the Spectrum changed the way you approach other relationships? Do you think you're a stronger communicator overall?
Yeah, it's given me the confidence like to speak well to a lot of people and also to communicate with the cast members as well. In fact, what I do know is that I met the Love on the Spectrum cast members for a photo shoot before Love on the Spectrum was going on television. And to be honest, the other cast members were so friendly and we got to share some common interests and speak about how their relationship was going, which was like pretty nice to share with. And also another thing too is that the last time that I met the Love on the Spectrum cast, like they went to a book launch show where Jodie Rogers and Kelvin, also from Love on the Spectrum, they made a book together called Let's Meet. It was simply so amazing to reunite with the Love on the Spectrum cast members because like it was bringing like so many memories of Love on the Spectrum which I truly cherished so much.
Your cast reunion would be very special, getting to see everybody, getting to see where everybody's at right now, and also the confidence, that I'm sure so many other cast members have now in new ways. Seeing where you are now in your 20s compared to perhaps what you were like as a young kid going through school, how did the two compare in terms of the way that autism perhaps affects the way that you engage with the world?
Throughout my times at school, I am the only person that I knew was my brother. I only knew my brother like in primary school and like I made some friends there too because I felt so comfortable in primary school. But by the time I moved to high school, it was like starting all over again and I just only knew my brother. But one day, some of the older students asked me to sit with them and they took me under their wing and like they were giving me so much encouragement like on how to build friendships and make social connections as well because I was able to learn so much from them and by the time the older students graduated from high school I began to feel a lot more comfortable with other people at high school and they began to understand about what my wants and needs were.
Mm.
My friends at high school were a lot more caring towards me.
It's so good to hear because a simple act of inclusion can make such a big difference.
Sure can. Because like whenever I was like a bit confused or stressed of what was going on, like for instance, some sort of activity or what was unfolding, like I was able to ask the older students and my friends like for some help because I learned that there was no hesitation to ask people. It's okay to speak up. It's okay to speak up and there's no need to hesitate for anything. All you got to do is just ask and like straight away someone will come over to help you on what the situation is.
Mm.
And that's how I felt like throughout my times at high school and by the time I was in year 12, I was a lot more confident than ever before. I was so brave and like I was able to graduate from high school.
And congratulations, because that's a milestone for any student. And yet I feel like it's such a significant one when you've had to, find that confidence and I suppose find your place.
Yeah, and also like also what I want to share with you too, I would strongly say like having sensory friendly environments is what I sometimes see. Like, for instance, if some places are like so noisy or busy, then it makes me like want to ask people if I can be taken somewhere quieter or Can I go somewhere where I can listen to some calming music because it's so noisy? And that's like one thing that I do discover. And also like there's flexibility in routines too. I learned how to be flexible throughout my time in supported employment and allowing for breaks or adjustments, like those types of flexibilities in routines. And also being flexible around different communication styles is another good thing too that I've learned so far. That's why visual communication, I find it so helpful.
You clearly do have an ability to engage in the world in so many really wonderful ways. Of course, in the work you're doing as an advocate for people with disability, but also in karate, you have a black belt. We've mentioned you play piano and tuba. Is there a particular appeal to honing skills like that for you?
Well, I have to say, Laura, like, I've got so many passions and interests that really suit me well. Playing piano, tuba, and creative arts has been such a huge part of my life. Like, I love singing, acting, dancing, filmmaking, and doing some voiceover as well. I find those activities so helpful and really enjoyable because it gives me a lot of skills. And like you said, I do karate as well. In fact, I've been doing karate since I was 10 years old, and you're right, I am a black belt. Because you know why I love karate? It always helps me to keep fit and it also gives me the structure and routine which I really enjoy. But not only that, I found that it helped with my anxiety to empower me to overcome my fears and give me confidence as well. Another good passion that I know is not only do I spend some time with Katie and friends, but I always like trying new experiences together because that's what Katie and I always like to do together when we're out and about. I have to say, Laura, I really do love motorsports. In fact, I love watching the F1s, V8 supercars, and the World Rally Championship. And I also have the opportunity to volunteer at the racetrack, where I get to be up close to the cars and work with people who have the same passion. And recently, Laura, I just got a new job at the Moxie Hotel at Sydney Airport.
Congratulations. Does this mean that you're going to explore passions around pilots, airplanes? Like, does the enjoyment of high-speed cars also translate to high-speed airplanes?
Well, to be honest, Laura, I achieved my full license and I also achieved my forklift license. And who knows, maybe like a flight license could happen in the future.
You never know. It could be very
You never
fun.
know. You never know. You're exactly right.
Maybe it's Love on the Spectrum on Love Island and you get a pilot like yourself to take all the contestants there.
Something like that, I guess.
When did you decide to become an advocate for autism and speak so openly about some of the opportunities, the challenges that face people with autism?
So, I'm a proud ambassador for the Autism Community Network and Bust Up Films, and just recently, Laura, I was the ambassador for the Sydney Disability and Workability Expo, which was such an incredible honor. So the Sydney Disability and Workability Expo is like all these amazing organizations come together all under one roof, which makes it so accessible for people to choose to make a choice and also to make the best decision for themselves too. In fact, the expo was like so amazing that this year's message was my future, my choice, which is such an important thing for people with disabilities to have. People with disabilities have so much to offer if given the chance. They deserve to be seen, heard, and valued in all spaces.
Is the need there for a little bit more agency to be given to people with a disability?
I would strongly say so, yeah, because by the time people choose the best organization, then eventually they will begin to feel so appreciated and so proud that they have made the right choice to build their independent skills,
What does inclusivity look like to you?
like being welcome in an organization, and also like lots of teamwork and friendships, and of course having lots of fun. In fact, what I do know about inclusion is that a few weeks ago I went to the Sydney Symphony Orchestra relaxed concert, which was like so enjoyable for me to listen to all the musicians play, because the good thing was that people could move around because they had the freedom. They could also lie on cushions. And of course, the lighting was like reduced and just like so comfortable, which made a more inclusive environment. And most of all, when it comes to inclusion, there is no judgment at all, because everyone feels a sense of belonging and can just be their authentic selves, because we all accept each other for who we are, which feels so comfortable.
Are there certain needs like that for having quieter spaces, perhaps, or having lighting adjusted? Are there needs that neurodivergent people have that are being overlooked?
What I can say is like offering different ways for the person to participate in something so that it's more comfortable for them. Like, for instance, it can be with anything, like including for quiet spaces or reduced and flexible lighting. It's like coming up with a solution or a plan B.
If you're in an environment that's making you feel a little bit anxious or a little bit nervous, how do you deal with that?
So what I do is that if I'm finding something that's really noisy or overwhelming, then all I do is just ask to either a support worker or even my parents, like if I'm feeling overwhelmed or stressed about the noise, they just say to me, let's find you a quiet space where you can chill and relax with some nice music for you to listen to. And I'm just like so thankful for either a support worker or my parents to take me to a quiet spot, because like having sensory friendly environments is like so helpful to people with disabilities. It's really helpful.
If you could pass on one piece of advice to somebody who is autistic, who's trying to work it out, who's perhaps trying to feel more comfortable in their own skin, what advice would you give them?
I would say to like people with disabilities who are feeling a bit anxious, I would say to them, if you find that something is a bit nervous or it's bothering you, there's no need to hesitate to ask for anyone, because it's okay to talk to people if something is wrong. You're always welcome to ask anybody for anything.
You've got a lot of confidence over the years that you've learned in so many ways, as we've spoken about. How would you help somebody else become more confident like you have?
You know what I like to do? Like, I always tell people to believe in themselves, and I always tell them how to approach a challenge with positive vibes. So I give them like good pep talks on how to overcome their fears and also their anxiety. And every time I say that to people with disabilities, they begin to feel more braver than before, and like it makes them feel so happy towards the end that they have achieved their goal. In fact, I always like to set some goals that I really want to achieve. And another good thing too is that I really find purpose in showing that autistic people have hopes and dreams, and they deserve to be given opportunities to be seen, heard, and valued. I really hope that being on Love on the Spectrum and my ambassador roles to raise awareness has helped to have a better understanding and, of course, more acceptance as well.
What are some of your hopes and dreams at the moment, Ronan?
My hopes and dreams are like, I want to continue to be a positive role model for people with disabilities and autism.
You can only wish him the best with that endeavour. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Undistracted. Would love to know what you think. You can find me on Instagram at laura.bennett_ or email undistracted@hope1032.com.au. And until next time, enjoy living this undistracted life.